Welcome to the Opening Doors podcast with the Realty couple. Sit back, relax, learn a little bit, and read all these fun words. Raw. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. I'm Brandon Monaghan. This is my lovely co-host, Danielle Monaghan.
Hello.
And we are the Realty couple. Hey, guess what? We've got a podcast. And
if you guys didn't hear our announcement, this is huge for us.
Yeah, it's podcast number 1, and you're probably thinking, you guys are insane. What, you're doing a family vlog, you're doing a podcast, and you're selling real estate in a crazy busy market, but we are crazy.
We are crazy. We like to be busy. We like to have fun. And that's what this is all about, really, is, showing another side to us. And then we just like to, be entertaining and have fun with things. But also we feel that there's such a need for, education in our field. And this is one way that we're going to do it.
We're going to be touching on just about every topic you can think of over the course of this series. Today, we're talking about sort of the crazy busy market that we're in, the seller's market that we're in.
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, in our area, and I'm sure in lots of other pockets and areas around the United States and probably even around the world, we're in a very strong seller's market right now, which just basically means that there is a lack of houses on the market and there's a surplus of buyers.
Yeah. And honestly, I've seen some numbers to where it's not even that much anymore of a shortage of homes on the market because interest rates are so historically low right now. There are just so many buyers out there because your average buyer can afford so much more house. So
yes. Quick side note about that. It is a fantastic time to buy and sell your house. I mean, like you said, interest rates are crazy low. This is literally the lowest they have ever been and will probably ever be again. So it kind of works out for both parties involved, the buyer and the seller, because when things start to raise and there are fewer buyers, then it's harder to sell your home. So things kind of balance out. This is a fantastic time to buy and to sell. It's crazy.
Yes. However, there's a caveat there. If you're a buyer right now, there are some very competitive situations.
Yep.
And
that's what we're going to be talking about today.
And people are going to exactly. People are going to tell you you're overpaying for a house or whatever, but if this is a house that you're going to be in for 10, 15, 20 years, maybe even longer, the market is going to go up and down over the course of that span. So it's really going to be irrelevant today, as long as you're staying in your house for a while, what you buy it for. So, so today we're talking about, like she said, multiple offers. And our job today is to make sure that when you go out to buy a house, and also we'll talk about a little bit on the seller side too, but when you go out to buy a house, that you're prepared. You know all the scenarios that's going to strengthen your offer, other than just increasing it. So number one would be probably first and foremost your financing. You're gonna want to get financed. You want to get financed now, and tell them why, Danielle. I know you're chomping at the bit here.
I don't want to talk over you. I don't want to. Anyways, we talk over each other in real life all the time, but I just didn't want. Anyways, going off on a tangent. So pre-approvals really help out. So if you are on the selling side of this, I just kind of wanted to shine some light on this really quickly. If you're getting multiple offers in, you really want to make sure that these offers that you're getting are pre-approved. You want to make sure that these are serious buyers who can actually buy your home. On the flip side of that, as a buyer, you really want to make sure you have your ducks in a row. You want to make sure that you are, we recommend that you even get pre-approved before you even start looking at houses, because things are going so fast. If you don't have your ducks in a row, your offer is not going to get accepted. It won't be taken seriously without a pre-approval.
Exactly. So number one, get pre-approved. Financing type is a big deal too. So if you're an FHA buyer, you may struggle a little bit in today's market. FHA is not a bad program. VA,
it's not at all.
VA is a great program. USDA is a great program.
MSHDA. All of these are fantastic programs for buyers.
But they're going to put you on a lower rung than a conventional borrower and even a cash offer, because let's just say FHA. FHA is a government-backed program, so that's for that reason the appraisals are very strict on making sure that there are no trip hazards, no safety issues, no peeling paint, no GFCI or electrical issues, anything that's going to be a safety issue, they're going to flag during an appraisal.
Yep. And the reason that, so if you have two similar offers or maybe two even exact offers and you have one that's conventional and one that's FHA, that seller might be worried about, well, I have some peeling paint on, our garage or something like that. And so they might be worried about those things getting flagged on the appraisal and therefore go to the conventional because the conventional appraisal is just a little bit easier.
Yeah, I've only seen one conventional appraisal come back saying, "Hey, there's an issue," and it's literally because there was a hole in the roof.
Yep.
You
I
know,
remember that one.
yeah, and
That was fun.
but and we knew about it. That the buyer knew about it. So, those are the kinds of things that are, that's number one.
Yeah.
1A, 1B would be get pre-approved, and then just make sure you know what type of financing you've got there. And then obviously, there are some tactics that we realtors use.
Mm-hmm.
Some do, some don't. Use these tactics to get you that house, to get you, at least give you a better chance of buying it. Number one, I'd say, is you can guarantee. So let's just say your house, if you're getting financed, you need to have an appraisal done. Your bank is going to require that.
Mm-hmm.
You can, if you have some cash, which is a good thing, cash is king. If you have some cash to put down, you can promise that whatever that appraisal amount comes in at, you will pay a certain amount over that. You write that in the contract.
So that actually brings me back to a point that I wanted to make about the differences between like FHA and things like that. One thing also to keep in mind, and this is something that we really have to think about right now, is um, not every house is appraising. So we aren't seeing too many issues with appraisals right now, but because things are so competitive and people are writing, higher offer, higher offer, higher offer to compete with each other, that you may have an appraisal problem, and FHA appraisals stick with the property for a certain amount of time. So that's another reason why FHA might be edged out. But yeah, you definitely could offer above appraisal.
Sort of a trick that we have in our bag, and it's nothing special, but a lot of
Mm-mm.
agents don't use this, but we use an escalation clause, which basically means if you're in a competitive situation and you write an offer for, let's just say you start out at asking price or five grand below, you write an escalation clause that states that you promise to pay $1,000 or whatever dollar amount over the next closest offer up
Mm-hmm.
to whatever your highest dollar amount is on that house.
Right. So let's give an example. So just so we don't kind of confuse people with the lingo. So basically, say the house right now is up for 200,000, but you think it's a super competitive situation and you're like, "You know what? I would be willing to pay 220 for that." So you would write in the contract or have your agent write in the contract that you would pay $1,000 above your initial offer. Say your initial offer was the 200,000, $1,000 higher than the next highest offer up to that 220,000.
Right. And in that clause, your realtor should be writing the fact that you need proof of a
Yeah.
qualifying offer to
We
enact that escalation clause.
we see escalation clauses, like, they're not super rare, but I mean, like we said, not too many agents are using them. But we've seen just blanket statements saying that they would be willing to pay $1,000 higher than any offer up to X amount of dollars. Our escalation clause is very lengthy, I guess you would call it, because we want to make sure that the person is pre-approved, that they are legitimate, that they are actually able to buy the house that they have. And then we take into account things like concessions and stuff like that that we don't need to get into right now, but we want to make sure that it's an actual offer.
Right. Exactly. Because if you don't have proof of that offer and they're telling you, hey, it's escalated up to 215, and you say, great, without proof of that offer, they may have just fluffed your offer up and you're paying
Right.
15 grand higher than you should.
Now, I'd like to give everybody the benefit of the doubt and
Yeah.
say that
Well,
nobody would ever do anything like that, but you just never know. So it's better to be safe than sorry.
yeah, I'm not going to pretend like our profession is squeaky clean. There are,
Right.
just like any profession,
Right,
there's some,
exactly. You're going to have bad eggs everywhere.
yeah. Um, so that's one option. That's something, instead of just increasing your offer price. That's something you'll see escalation clause in concert with appraisal guarantees,
Mhm.
because that's basically elevating the price. And if you're just saying, "Oh, I'll pay $220,000 for this house," and it doesn't
Yep.
appraise, it was all irrelevant anyways.
Yep.
So you'll see those two together quite a bit.
For sure. I think there are some other, like, um slightly easier ways that you can kind of tweak your offer to make it a little bit more competitive. One way is occupancy. That's something that a lot of agents utilize, is just, talking to the listing agent. Obviously, have your agent talk to the listing agent, ask them what's most important to the seller, and it may be occupancy. A lot of times sellers need time after closing to move into their next home or onto their next phase, like whatever that case may be. Or maybe they have to finalize the buy to buy their next home.
Right.
You can offer occupancy, and you can offer it with a dollar amount per day, or you can do like a percentage, or what, you can do a bunch of different things, or you could do it for free.
Yeah, you could. I mean, it ideally, you would get the keys, at closing.
Yeah, in a perfect world.
But that doesn't always get you the house. So, and keep in mind also, that means that you would own at closing, if you offered 30 days, 60 days of occupancy at closing, you wouldn't get the keys. You'd be basically their landlord for 30 to 60 days. And
Right.
so hopefully you should be able to negotiate in some sort of damage deposit to make sure that there's no, funny business. They're not having a rave or a drum painting party or whatever, what.
You never know.
I don't know what to call that. The exercise drums where they put the paint on there and they splatter. I saw it in Miss Congeniality. We'll cut that out. Anyways, my wife makes me watch movies.
Oh yeah, sure. Like you didn't watch that before me.
Anyways, that was very relevant to what we were talking about, so I added it in. Anyways, so you want to put in that damage deposit to make sure that Sandra Bullock doesn't ruin your house before you're able to get the keys. So, and you're going to want basically some guarantees. Anyways, sometimes you can't, though. Sometimes that makes your offer less competitive than the next. So it's all depending. You'll have to ask your agent on what the situation is.
Every offer and every transaction is so different. We have not had any transaction exactly like another. And so it kind of goes the same with offers. You kind of have to tweak things and finesse things and make sure it's like the perfect offer for that deal.
Right. Another risky way, I'll say risky because it is. I mean, so during your inspection period, obviously that's the time that once you're under contract, you'll have to inspect the house to make sure that you're not missing anything, nothing's surprising to you, because you're going to be owning that house for the considerable future. However, if it's a competitive situation and you're confident that there's going to be no surprises, you can potentially waive your inspection. That's a possibility. Say, hey, I want to buy your house. I don't care what's in it or what's going on. I want it.
I get a little nervous about this one. Even opposed to the other things that we're going to be discussing, because especially like, unless you are a builder or, a contractor yourself, or even an inspector or something, it really makes me nervous.
Yeah. And it's a little scarier too when we know the buyer doesn't have a whole lot of cash to work with, because we know that if you're ignoring everything that could come up on an inspection report and you move in, there could be some things that are going to come up, just normal home ownership that you couldn't have prepared for. So if you're a little bit worried that that's too risky for you, you could do some things like shorten the inspection period. Typical inspection period on a regular balanced market can be from 7 to 10 business days, but you can make sure you're communicating with your inspector that you can make this promised date.
Yes. If there are any agents watching this right now, please do not write in an inspection period of 2 business days, 3 business days, unless you have contacted that inspector ahead of time and you know that they have that kind of availability. Because just like everything else in our industry right now, everything is taking a long time, and that could mean for inspectors as well, and it has for us. Yeah. So you just really want to make sure that they have that kind of time available.
Yep. So make sure use just communication between you and the agent and the inspector, or you and the inspector. And then obviously, so when you put your earnest money down, when you get under contract, you're going to be expected to put some money down as a deposit.
Yeah, so it's just in good faith. It's just a consideration for the offer, saying, yes, I am serious about buying this home, and I don't plan on walking away for no good reason, basically.
Right. And so the more money you put down in that deposit, the stronger your offer. And that money is going to go towards your closing costs and your down payment later on when you get to closing anyways. But it sends a message to the seller that if you have two like offers, one of them's putting down $1,500 as an EMD and the other one's putting down $10,000 earnest money deposit, that one sets its,
That's huge.
that's huge. It shows that you have more money to work with. If there's something that comes up during the inspection, if there's a shortfall in the appraisal, this deal could potentially stick together. So obviously 10 grand, you may not want to go that high. Some may want to go higher.
And not everybody has that kind of money to put down for a deposit either. But you can play around with the figures and talk to your agent about that as well.
Right. So you can go higher, as we talked about, or you can do what's called a hard EMD, or a non-refundable earnest money deposit. This one's pretty risky, mainly because it's basically saying I'm putting this money down, and even
no matter what,
even though if I've had, I've got these protections in the contract during the inspection period and the appraisal and financing. I'm saying it doesn't matter. I'm putting it down, and if I walk away, no matter what happens, the seller's getting that money.
Yep. You can make the entire earnest money deposit hard or non-refundable, or you can like split it up. Say you're putting down $1,500 and you're like 1,000 of it is hard EMD. The seller's going to walk away with this if for whatever reason I choose to walk away from this transaction.
Right. And obviously you only want to do that if you are almost 100% confident you're not walking away.
Right. If you know that, if unless the house is falling down, I'm buying this house.
Right.
It might not be a bad idea if it's a competitive situation, which is exactly what we're talking about, multiple offers. But you don't want to do these tactics if you're the only person writing on the house, because you don't have to write that competitive of an offer.
Exactly. So there are other tactics, obviously, things you can do. I mean, you can. So in basically in the state of Michigan, the seller is traditionally on the hook for state and county transfer tax. You are expected to pay that as a seller. A buyer could come to you and say, hey, I'll pay your closing costs.
Yeah, we don't see that very often.
No, but it is possible. Happen. I mean, in these situations where you're getting between 10 and 20 offers, not even just showings, 10 and 20 offers within 2 days, you have to pull out all the stops if you really want the house.
You really do. Something that we've been seeing a lot lately are buyer letters. So it's something super, super cheap. I mean, it costs nothing really to send a letter. You could even send it with the offer, have your agent send it with the offer, and it's really no risk to the buyer to do it. But basically just kind of explain to them, kind of pull at the heartstrings a little bit about why you want the house so bad.
Exactly. And, we caution our sellers when you get these letters because there are certain protected classes that you can't make a decision in real estate upon those terms.
Yep. Fair housing is a very real thing. And we definitely try to educate our sellers on the importance of it.
Yeah. And actually we'll list, I think we can probably list them somewhere down here somewhere.
Sure. We can edit that in.
Because I think that's important to know as a buyer and seller. What are the protected classes? What's the Fair 100%. Housing Act? You can obviously go look it up, but so a seller, if you accept a letter and any of those terms are explained in there, whether it's race, sex, familial status, whatever, and it's suspected by whoever misses out on the offer, maybe one of the 2 or 3 other closer offers, that you made a decision because you saw that they were a family or because you saw they were a certain race, then that's opening yourself up to being sued.
Yeah, we actually, like we said, we explain it to our sellers. Sometimes the sellers will ask us to withhold those until after they accept an offer.
Right. And I've seen people get pretty creative with these buyer letters. They,
you can send pictures and
get like little action shots of their family, like, hey, stuck jumping like that. I mean, to be honest, if I was a seller and I saw somebody's picture like that, I would seriously consider, just for being creative.
That's adorable.
That's hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, obviously, I mean, there's probably more that we're not discussing here. I mean, you can exhaust the topic. It's just kind of...
You could talk about this all day, honestly.
Yeah, and it's really just to kind of get your gears moving. To get creative, think outside the box.
Well, and we also know that a lot of buyers understand that it's a seller's market. They understand that it's a competitive situation. They understand all of these things, and it kind of holds them back. And we wanted to kind of explain to people that why it is such a good time to buy and what are some of the things that you can do. And not only that, but as for sellers, I mean, these are important things for sellers to know as well.
Yeah, these terms are going to be thrown at you. I mean, if you are in a competitive situation and you're fielding a bunch of offers, you're going to see some of these that are probably very similar to each other.
For sure. And you want to know what edges out another offer. And these are some of the ways. These are some of the, top ways that we've seen.
Right.
And that we use.
Yeah, we use them all the time, especially in today's market. So, yeah, as a seller, sort of on the flip side, you need to be educated on these topics as well.
100%.
So that's pretty much wrapping up, I think, what we wanted to talk about today. Right?
Yeah, we have a lot of other topics. Like we said, we're just going to be doing this. It's going to be one a month for now. We'll see if things pick up after that. If you guys have any questions, we will put up our email address, and we'll have all of that stuff in description boxes and all over the web. Shout us out, give us a quick, DM or email or text or phone call, whatever. And we'll try to work in your questions. Maybe even one day we'll do a Q&A.
Yeah. And probably the style we'll do that is on Twitch. We can stream on Twitch. And then way,
can we stream live on Twitch?
You certainly can. Yeah.
Oh, well,
it's a live platform. So literally there'll just be a chat box.
Oh yeah. Duh.
Off the
I
right.
knew that.
Yeah. Just like, if someone were to play video games, and so you'd have,
I wonder who that is.
You'd have a chat where, you guys could ask, fun questions and try and stump us and all that kind of stuff. So I think that could be
would be fun. Like, come up with your hardest real estate questions, or your not hardest questions in general, because like there's a lot of things I don't know about, like history and things.
Well, listen, we are hardworking individuals. Let's just ask people to come up with, think of your easiest real estate question, because our brains are already firing at maximum capacity here. So.
Oh, stop.
Yeah.
You need to give us more credit.
So thanks for joining us today. We had fun. And just so you know, do not give occupancy to Sandra Bullock. And as long as you take one thing away, take that away. I'm sorry, Sandra. I know
most important thing.
I know she's going to be listening
today.
Yeah. She'll be offended. We'll get a letter.
Her people will contact our people.
Yeah. Which is our personal cell phone.
Yeah, that's fine.
Anyways, so thanks for joining us. I hope you had fun and hope you learned something. We're going to be talking a lot more in the future. So for today, that's it. And I'm Brandon Monaghan. This is my lovely wife and co-host, Danielle.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Great bow.
Thanks.
And we'll see you guys later. Peace out.
See you guys later. Bye.